Hi, I'm Catherine, and this is my husband, Steve.
Hello.
And we're here to talk about our motorhome because some people have been asking some questions online. Not a lot, but we thought maybe we would address some of the things that we've been going through as we've been traveling in our motorhome. So we're going to discuss like our history and then some of the things that we had problems with in the beginning. And then we're going to go with some things that we've changed. And then we're going to go to maybe answering some of the questions people had in a little more detail. Because sometimes when you write something down on a comment, it's hard to express some of the things that you've done. Anyhow, so we're going to talk about the history. Do you want to start out about how we were starting to go and look for a camper? We actually were doing it, and then we went to a motorhome. So
Sure. Initially, we had bought a larger truck because we thought we were going to buy a tow camper. So we have a beautiful Toyota Tacoma now that we're just using to haul stuff around in, but it's a great truck. We looked at Lance campers, we looked at Thor campers, some were towable, some were motorhomes. We looked at Airstream, kind of dreamed and drooled, but we really didn't do anything with that. And we ended up going to our dealer down close to us, a general RV dealer, and we purchased this. It's a 2023 East to West Entrada. East to West is one of the subsidiary companies of Forest River, and we've had it since last October. When we picked it up in October, we were heading out the very same day for a camping trip. So kind of a baptism under fire. We drove 30 minutes from our dealer back to our house, the opposite direction we were eventually heading out, and we packed the camper as quickly as we could, got our two dogs in here, and took off. And our destination, not in one day, but our destination was North Carolina. So it was...
we were breaking it in.
Yeah, and our first night, our first camping experience with our camper was in a rest stop in Ohio where we didn't open the slide, and my wife slept in the bed kind of like in a little cubby hole, and I slept on this thing here with the dogs. But we made it, and it was a little cold, and we were super excited about the new camper, so neither of us really slept well anyways. But anyways, that's a little bit of the history of it. Anything more you'd like to share on that one, honey?
I was just trying to think. We had a budget. We didn't want to go over that budget at all. We were looking at used campers as well.
Yes.
We could not find what we wanted. We initially wanted the twin beds side by side because we figured that would be better for when we want to sit, or if we wanted to have company, we could make that area into a larger area to sit more people. Like here, you can squeeze 4 people in here, but this is pretty cozy.
Yeah, just a little comfy.
Yeah. So, you know, sometimes you're at a campground and it's raining. What are you going to do? You have to live in your camper pretty much. I mean, you can be outside under your, awning. But anyway, so that was some of the criteria we were looking for at first was twin beds. We saw a brand name, but I don't remember what that was. And we really liked it, but it was already sold in Ohio. So we thought we're just going to go to General RV and check out what they had. We weren't going to buy, but we were very serious. If we saw something, we were going to buy it. I personally didn't want to slide out because slide outs have more issues down the road. So that was one of the reasons we did steer to buy brand new, because we didn't want something that maybe someone wasn't, maybe as
by somebody else's issues, yeah.
Yes, right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, initially when we got it, we took off, and one of the first things we discovered was this rattling noise over our stove. And there's a heat shield over the stove that is fastened into the bottom of the wood on the cabinet above it. And the one hole was basically stripped out from the get-go. So it had this frequency, it just rattled. It was annoying as all get out. Aside from your pans and stuff, if you don't properly separate them, we had our own little rattle that was going to go regardless of what we did.
Yes.
So that was one of the first things we found out. Mm-hmm. We also discovered coming home from the dealer, which it was pouring rain when we came home, that the locking bins didn't lock. So basically, the manufacturer installed latches on every single locking bin that were too short to even catch the side that should have received them and kept the door from being loose or being able to open, not sealed properly.
Yeah.
So we had a wet bin on the right here by the front right door. So that was one of the things they had to fix as well. Every single one of those locks was not right. We had to have them fix that.
We also had, as we're driving and we turned Motorhome off, we turned back on, our radio was like not hooked up. It was like it never knew us. And so we found out that there was some miswiring in it. And so that was a quick fix for them, but they just had to figure that out. So they did fix that. The next thing was condensation in the rear brake lights. I noticed it when we came home. I'm like, there's condensation in there. And so that was something they had to look at. So that was one thing that I thought was just, kind of a big deal. I'm like, brand new condensation in the taillights. Another couple things I kind of noticed, but I couldn't tell because this model does not have the ladder to go up on the roof, is it looked like from the bottom that there was some like cracks where they put the sealant. And I asked them to look at that. So I'm not sure if they were really bad or not, but they did add more that white caulking that they use for up there. They had that on.
Yeah, that was in the upper rear left-hand corner of the roof where the liner meets the sides.
Yeah, and they said they caulked everything all over again.
Yeah.
So then what was the other thing?
Let's see. We had a drawer that didn't close.
Oh, yeah.
Which works way better now that they fixed it, but still occasionally is a little iffy.
It's depending on how level we are, too.
Yes, it's definitely depending on level. The shower, and I don't know if this is intentional or not, but the shower doesn't, when you hit the button on the little shower thing,
the saver thing,
the water saver thing, it doesn't stop running. It kind of does, but it doesn't really. Yeah.
As the pump tries to.
Okay, let me see here. Another thing was the headliner, which is it's in the van part of the camper, but it's still part of what was installed by the East to West Forest River. It was put in haphazardly. There was gaps where you could see metal on the right side, and it was overlapping and causing trim issues on the left side.
Yes.
So that was another thing that was a problem. Goodness.
And they fixed that at the manufacturing. That was, yeah. So
when we pointed out all of these, we gave them that entire list down there, and we had a super girl who was she wasn't wearing a cape or anything, but we had a super girl who was our service rep down there at General RV, and her name was Rachel, and she was really good about being in touch with us and dealing with us and keeping communication open. So we got back from our first trip and we made our appointment. It was all warranty work. They had our camper from Halloween Day to 3 days before Christmas. So you do the math, that's 6 or 7 weeks. I guess you're not a priority if you're doing warranty work.
Yes.
And
you're just as first come, first serve, and there were a lot of people being served.
They were crazy busy down there. It's amazing how many people they're servicing.
Yeah.
The other thing was, out of all of those issues, the first time they took care of the majority, but there were 2 which they would not do until apparently they had factory approval or factory review or something.
Right.
So 2 of those things were not dealt with until the next spring. Those were the condensation in the taillights and the headliner being basically taken out and put back in, I guess.
Yes.
So those 2 things were not handled until I think March, and then they had us for another 1 or 2 weeks. So at the dealer, we were probably at the dealer somewhere between 7 and 9 weeks total for warranty work thus far. And as of now, I think we're pretty good on all that stuff.
Right.
So we took it on 3 trips and roughly 4,500 miles or so of travel. And the reason there's so much mileage was because a couple of those trips were to North Carolina. So aside from our driving and going camping and stuff, we were going to visit our son and his wife down south. So that was part of the reason we've accumulated a good amount of mileage already in 10 months. But anyways, having said that, we came back from one of our trips to northern Michigan, and we could hear this vibrating, rattling sound, and we parked it and kind of forgot about it. But then we were getting ready for our next trip in July, this past like a little over a month ago, and I shut the door on the side and I heard the rattle again. And sure enough, so I crawled underneath, and there's a heat shield underneath that had come loose. And basically it's super thin material that had a super small flange on it that they spot welded, and the flange, probably because it got heated up so much or whatever, and all the vibration, it just fell apart. So anytime you were at a certain idle speed or you slammed a door or whatever, you'd get this wonderful rattling sound. So I got underneath there with my JB weld, and JB welded it back on, and actually used some JB weld that was still in the package from 2011. So I guess that's a good testimonial for JB weld. It still worked fine.
No more rattle after that.
After 12 years, it worked great. No more rattle. We've taken it on, I think, one trip since that was a long trip. And it's not had any more issues. So as of now, fingers crossed, we have the rattle fixed. So that was another thing. That had nothing to do with the dealer or anything, but it's just the way they designed it. That wasn't very robust. And there might be others that do the same thing eventually. So... All right, some comments on impressions we have of our camper now that we've had it for a while.
Yes, I have a few. He has a few.
I'm sure she does, and I do as well. It drives nice. We got the shortest one. This is a little under 24-foot bumper to bumper, and it's got for a motorhome, a relatively short wheelbase, so it's not too hard to drive. It's wider than my normal vehicles and all that. But the performance of the 4350 van chassis is great. We get good acceleration, drives down the road nice. So far, after about 5,000-ish miles, we're at about 10.3 miles per gallon average. And the disclaimer for that is we typically don't exceed 65 miles an hour when we're driving down the highway. There are some rare occasions when you do, but typically no. Got to keep your tire pressures up, check stuff.
Yeah, I have to say though, when I was younger, I was in a motorhome with my mom, and it seems like the mileage has not changed. She had a larger motorhome and was on Itasca, Winnebago, and it was how many feet long? Did you 28?
Yeah, it was around 30ish.
Yeah,
28, 30.
It was under 30. I know for sure. I think it was 28, and she got 10 miles to the gallon, so it really hasn't changed much. It seems with a lot of motorhomes. So that's just kind of a interesting thing, I thought.
And seats in the front are comfortable.
Yeah, they're fairly comfortable. The passenger side, not a whole lot of leg room, but you can stretch your legs all the way out. And getting in and out, like you're not supposed to get, up out of your seat when you're driving, but you can do it. And it's very handy to have the area up above where you can hang on and come back. Sometimes there's an emergency, especially with the dogs. Yeah. But, comfortable, I think.
Yeah. It has wired Apple CarPlay, so it works well for navigation and all that stuff once we got the radio working right.
Yeah.
It's great. I finally just bought a short Apple official cord for it instead of this 1 meter long thing we used to have.
Yeah.
So I don't have all this cord all over up front, but it works great. And let's see what else. Go ahead, sweetie.
I was going to say, we could talk about like the table area. It's nice. Now, the 2022, I think, had like a cup holders, and they had a outlet right here, I think. I've seen so many, I can't remember.
Right.
But
the brochure pictures showed it.
Yeah, and it would be nice if it was here, because they have up here an area where you can plug in, but it's too long for our coffee maker. And if you see the model online for the floor plan of this, there's not a whole lot of space over here in the kitchen area, which brings me to my second thing I'm not too fond of. And that is that they have a kitchen sink, your oven, your fridge, and then they have another sink for like the bathroom area. And there's a shade that goes across so that you have like that back area. But I wish it wasn't there, because I would rather have had more counter space in here.
Yeah, the sink you're talking about, right?
Yeah, and it does have a flip up thing, which is really annoying because it isn't quite level. So you're leveling your motorhome, and the little thing that pops up is like, not up. It's just a little bit down, so your coffee maker is like a little bit off. So that makes it just a tad annoying. I don't know if that's something we can adjust or whatever, but
I don't think so. But
Yeah, I don't know. So that's another thing. And then also the mirror in the bathroom like area.
That is the way it's
I'm like, this is where the mirror and above I can see myself. So it's very annoying for a short person. But
doesn't bother me.
No, doesn't bother my husband.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't bother Steve. So that's another thing. Also the cushions in here. If you're going to spend a lot of time playing games and that, I would suggest upgrading to better foam. So can you tell about what type of foam you bought for this cushion?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did some research. Catherine did some looking around. I did some looking around. I called a foam company and spoke with them. And we have just purchased, which will be delivered next week, a couple weeks prior to our next trip. And we will have high resilience, firm foam. We actually, when I spoke to the person there that was the customer support person, we got down to the point where we were talking about how much each of Catherine and I weighed to determine which, how thick the foam is, how everything. Because right now what happens is, like she said, you sit on this for a while, yep. And you're sitting on the board with a little thin piece of whatever in between it.
Yeah. And if you look on the cushion, it tells you the size of the cushion, and we want it to fit exactly back in this. So we're getting the same width that goes in here, but more firmer and good for sitting on here, because it's not bad. Like, we're sitting on it now, my butt isn't hurting. It's when you sit and you watch the TV up there, there's a TV up above in the cab area, and you're sitting here and you want to watch something for an hour at night maybe, or something like that, when your camping experience has kind of gone downhill from rain or
you're just tired because we've hiked and got back and we're just like, okay, we're whipped, we're gonna sit down and
just watch something,
watch something, or play a game.
And these cushions start to hurt bad. So anyhow, that's one thing we have learned.
Yes, so those are coming. The cushions cost us, I believe, $220 for the set to replace these cushions. So still, we gave them the exact dimensions, still to be determined as to how they fit, but hopefully very accurately.
Yeah. And there's this is in California we're getting these from, but there is a place also in Michigan which we probably maybe should have looked into more, but that's okay. This is where we're getting it. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What else? Okay, so and we could talk about the spare tire, but that's a topic that some people debate on. Basically, there is no spare tire, and of course, if there were, I don't know how capable I'd be to change one anyway. You had duals on the back, and
maybe the front would
be. The front.
I think it would.
There isn't one. We do have the CoachNet road service right now, so
haven't experienced using it yet, so we can't tell you if that's good or bad.
No. The ladder that was shown in the 2022 brochure was deleted for 2023, so we don't have a ladder to get up on it other than ladders we have at our home, which isn't going to help you if you needed to get on it somewhere other than home. Let's see what else here. Okay, we talk a little bit about the valves for the plumbing.
Yes, we did a video on that, and we had a couple people ask questions about it. One was they were very thankful we showed them because we were looking all over. In the video before, Steve asked his brother, who's been a camper for a long time, he had a trailer, and then he had a fifth wheel, and he, usually they're outside and you'd hit it and it just drains to the ground. But this one, we couldn't find it anywhere. We were like, where is it? And then this is one of the pains of this one, at least this particular length and design. You got to move the whole mattress out of the way. You got to take off a piece of plywood and then climb in there and do your thing. It isn't.
That's after you put the slide out.
Yeah, and slide out has to go out too. Mm-hmm. So
you can't just crawl underneath. Like, you watch videos on YouTube and they're all saying, "Hey, crawl underneath and here's your drain valves," and they're not there. Mm-mm. Believe me, I looked. Believe me, my brother looked, like she said.
Yeah. So that's something to consider if you're getting older or you're not able. You may want to see if maybe the next size up has, a different kind.
Yeah.
And really ask about things. Sometimes RV places, like, they didn't know, I don't know if it's because it was so new, they didn't know how the slide out went out. They told us one thing and it didn't work. Then we called up the manufacturer and they didn't know. And then we figured out exactly how the slide out can go out, when and where, and what has to be turned on, and blah, blah, blah. So
yeah, I talked to the factory rep direct because I got one story from one person and another story from another person. Mm-hmm. And we had an issue where our first night when we wanted to pull it out, not the rest stop story, but the next night we wanted to put it out.
Yeah.
We'd plugged in already and we couldn't get the stupid thing to go out.
Nope.
And so I actually called the Forest River 800 number.
Got nowhere with that.
Got nowhere with them helping us. Unfortunately, that was a really bad experience.
Yes.
And we eventually figured out how to do it ourselves, but then that brought up the question, well, the dealer didn't have the motor running the first time we had it come out.
Right.
But then the time we were camping the first time, the only way we could get it to work was with the motor running, the emergency brake on, but we were already plugged in.
Yeah.
Eventually we figured out, even after talking to the rep who gave us one story that wasn't true, that don't plug it in, just turn your key to the accessory position with your brake on, and you can go up there and push the button, and the thing will go out all day long.
Yes.
But
you can't do it on shore power.
You can't do it on shore power.
Don't ask me why. That's just the weirdest thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was very frustrating when you're getting various inputs and stories from different sources who should be in the know, and obviously we're not.
No. And I also have heard from other RVers that said that since COVID, it's gotten worse, but before COVID, they started to merge these camper places that build campers and stuff, and their quality has gone way down because they told them they have to make so many in a certain amount of time, and that puts pressure on the people who are making it to be more sloppy.
Mm-hmm.
And this one hasn't had too much sloppy except for that part.
Yeah,
that
was the sloppiest.
Yeah, that seemed like the sloppiest. And I don't know if the screw for the heat shield was just, a mishap. But
yeah, if they really over tightened it, or if it was just a flaw in the wood in that spot, or why it did it.
But everything else in here seems to be quite nice. I don't see like any ripples in the wall or anything like that. It seemed like everything else was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. So. Now, getting back to sleeping. It's a full queen size bed. We're in the shortest one of this Entrada that you can buy, and we have a full queen size.
Mm-hmm.
The mattress that they give you is super hard.
So you like hard, you'll like this mattress.
If you love hard, you'll love it.
We don't.
And I like hard to an extent, but this is like beyond where I could take it.
Yeah, like there's no give.
No.
And I sleep on my belly and my side, and you sleep on your back and your
my
side.
Yeah.
And it wasn't working for us, so we purchased a mattress topper.
Yep, memory foam mattress topper. I can't say that. From Sam's Club around here. It was about $150. It made all the difference in the world.
Yes. It does slide around a little bit on top, but you're sliding in and out a mattress that folds halfway, like a third or something. The mattress folds up. And so you always have that shifting, so it's a little annoying. Also, keep that in mind if you have problems with moving around. That might be something you might want to consider as well. So.
There's lots of storage on the inside.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Nice cupboards, lots of storage. There's maybe the cupboard over the stove and sink. It would probably be better had they put in a shelf. We may still do that ourselves because it's very tall, it's very deep. So
I can't reach the back.
Right. So while it's good for like, hey, I need to put my blender up here or something, which we're not taking a blender on our trips. We do have our coffee pot up there.
Yes.
But it's almost like the space could have been divided and still be very efficient to use. Otherwise, most of these cupboards, and we have we have a wardrobe space over there, lots of drawers, really nice. In this particular model, because it is the shortest model, the storage on the outside, I don't know, could be more, the storage on the inside is great. The storage on the outside is a little lacking.
You couldn't fit a lot of stuff in there. Like if you like to do a lot of camping outside and you have a lot of stuff to put outside, it's going to be a little tight. You'd be probably putting some of the stuff inside of the camper for sure. Because we have 2 chairs, a rug, a couple of rugs. Walking sticks.
All of our electrical, plumbing, sewage stuff.
But it's getting like really crammed in there already. Yeah.
There's several small bins, and there's one bin where we have all that electrical and all that stuff in the chairs. That's a little, thankfully, bigger and deeper. The other thing about it being deep is it doesn't go through like some people's do. And when Catherine goes, like we have our wheel chalk things, whatever they call them, and they look like the Legos. We have those in there. And the one day she was going to help me, which I really appreciated, but she went to pull it out.
I can't reach
and
it.
She couldn't reach it. I can reach it by kind of grabbing back in, but she can't even reach it.
Nope. This part of me when I'm going in was just not going to go any further.
But thankfully we have the space. It's just there's only one generous space. The rest of them are relatively small.
Yeah, and I know that if you get the model where they don't have any slide outs and you have the bed like in the corner and the bathroom is like right next to it, they have a huge compartment, and that would be like perfect for someone who wants, you know, tables and chairs and things like that. You can get them in and out because it's a big hole. Ours are not very big holes.
No, the openings are not. They're not very large.
So also another thing with those bins down below, the locks, like we said, we're having problems. Those are something you want to think about replacing because they're all general locks.
It's a general key number that anybody can have. So in theory, someone could come along and steal your belongings out of your bins. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but foreseeably it could, which is why we replaced the lock on our main door here on the right side. We bought a new lock that has a remote for it and a combination
keyless
code.
Entry.
Catherine did a video on that when we replaced that.
Was great.
Yeah, it works wonderfully.
Yeah.
The other thing that we did replace was the window in the door. Now the window in the door, I know it's not the right term, but the window in the door has bathroom glass. It's really like frosted glass.
Yeah.
So no matter what time of day, where you're at, nobody can see in, but you really can't see out either. So we bought the one with the sliding shade and put that in, which was another video. And it works really well. And of course, the only gotcha on that one is you can't put the shade up and down through the screen door, so you have to open the screen door and then
you have to open the whole. You have to just open all the door, close the screen, do your thing. Yeah, it's not super easy, but you know, at night you don't want it open so that, you know, until morning comes you're like, yay.
Yeah, but it's great to be able to look out during the day and see the beautiful trees in your campground or people moving around. We have fun just watching people, and everywhere we go, you know, we talked earlier about shopping for campers. Everywhere we go, we tend to do walks like Survey for Fun walks, and we look and see everybody else's campers because it's really cool just to walk around and see what people have set up and what they own. And
I think campers are some of the nicest people to talk to.
Definitely, yeah.
We had the same experience back when I was a kid. People are just the greatest. I was trying to think.
Oh, the shades. Speaking of shades, the shades we have in here are all very nice.
Yeah, we like them. They go up and down really good.
Really well.
This is probably the biggest shade in here. Maybe.
Or it's a tie with the back window. I'm not sure, but it probably is the biggest one.
But it does a good job. Sometimes you have to push both sides, or like our dogs will go like, and you know, do weird things with it, and you just have to close it all the way and bring it back down, and it's all back to normal again. And see
like that.
Yeah,
it's caught. There we go. It got caught over there because it got pushed.
Yeah,
but it works really well.
Yeah, and another thing we don't like is every window has got a different lock, it seems like. I don't know, like they were running out of windows to use in a motorhome. But this one is the worst. We don't like this window. And maybe down the road, if we can find one we can replace for here, we will do it. Because this locking system doesn't do very well. It gets so dirty just from one trip. We get so much dirt in here that it's hard to relatch it. And you can even hear it. Like, unlock that from your side and pull it.
Yeah, pull straight out of this one.
You can hear it. Listen, just do it.
Yeah, it's like...
Don't say anything. Don't say anything.
Oh.
You can hear the grit.
Then when you go to shut it, that time it shut, but...
Sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes it doesn't shut. And I've went out there and cleaned it. You know, like basically we've taken like the equivalent of like a
Q-tip.
A Q-tip with maybe a paper towel in it or whatever. You know, something that gets right down in that little channel and cleaned it out really well.
Yeah, it just doesn't. This is a little bit of a bugger of a window. I don't know if we get ones that open like at the top and, you know, they have like a little window up at the top and then bigger at the bottom or what. But yeah, definitely something we don't like is this window still.
Now we do have windows up in the little loft area above the front. So
there are different latches too.
There are different latches as well.
Compared to the one by the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
It's weird.
But they do have nice shades on them, and if we want more light, we can open them up. If not, don't have to. But it's nice having the option to get more light. I know Catherine doesn't care much for the bump out over the front of the cab.
I never wanted a Class C. I don't like the way they look. They look so bulky going down the road, so I never liked that. And we're never probably going to use that space unless we use it for storage. So if you're not going to use it, you could put like lawn chairs and stuff up there, and I would probably strap them because you're driving down the road.
Mm-hmm. My son's climbed up there before.
Mm-hmm. I've never been up there.
I've never been up there. It comes with a ladder, and you can fill in the space. It's the equivalent of a queen size bed.
Mm-hmm.
So foreseeably, you could sleep people on the real queen size in the back. You could sleep people on the table here. Shorter people,
I think, or little kids.
Yeah,
here.
kids. Because when I slept here with the dogs, I had to sleep diagonally.
Yeah, it's not long.
It's not long. And then up there, you have another 60 by 80 bed space up there. And again, we've not slept on it, so we don't know how firm it is or hard or.
And I think there's a 300-pound limit.
Yeah,
so.
Total 300-pound limit on that, I believe.
So I would say.
One person.
Yeah, one adult or two kids or very lightweight teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We did also kind of go into the outside. We did purchase. The dealer's going to try to get you with. You're going to pay their prep fee. They're going to try to sell you everything under the sun.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things we did pay for was the diamond coat, which supposedly is going to keep this thing easy to clean. Well, let me tell you, we paid for this diamond coat, and the streaks, and we've cleaned this thing, scrubbed this thing, and the streaks that still accumulate on it, even with that diamond coat, are not easy to clean off. So
at least mainly for the front cab.
Yeah.
The motorhome part, the box part, seems to come clean really well.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, I don't know, maybe they didn't diamond coat it or something, but the top of the C area and the hood and that is really bad. Oh, another thing I remember.
Okay.
The downspouts. If it's raining hard, don't go out your cab, because as soon as you open that door, that downspout comes right down into your door electronics.
Mm-hmm.
So,
now, I usually don't say this, but this would be where I would say somebody should be shot who's the engineer for that one, because basically they put the drain for the downspout
in the front.
In the front, and when you open the door, that water will go right into the buttons and the electronics switches for your windows.
They should have had it go off the back.
Yeah, it's the dumbest. The first day we bought it, it was raining when we picked it up. First thing I had happen to me when we got out there, which I'd forgotten about earlier, was water going right into the window controls.
Yeah, so, hey, if you dealerships are watching right now.
That's the dumb, stupid move on somebody's part.
Yeah. Forest
River, yeah.
So there's a couple of other things that I think are really neat about the motorhome that we do like. The refrigerator. It's big. It holds a lot of stuff.
Very nice.
So, yeah, we really like the refrigerator, and it's called an Everchill, and it just has a nice glass front to it and lots of room inside. I'm very pleased. We did buy some extra little shelvings for it to slide in and out to sit on the shelves, like little drawers, I guess. And that has come in handy for, taking out certain things that you need or getting to the back of something a little easier. Mm-hmm. And then, the little things in front that everyone buys is definitely a nice thing to have when you stop. You have to always make sure your refrigerator, you open it slowly to make sure nothing is jarred weird. Another thing we really like is the heater's been really great. The AC's been really great. It's a little noisy on the inside, so if it cools down enough, we love to turn it off as soon as possible. And of course, the Air Max is wonderful as well.
Yes.
Yeah, it's quiet. One time it was noisy on us, and I think I don't know if we tapped it or something. And it was a little interesting to get used to it, like the controller. Very picky about how you hit the buttons on it. So you got to make sure that you turn it on, and it is on, and then you start fiddling one at a time, because if you try to press down, 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 or up, 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 it really has an issue. And I had a problem also with the furnace little thing. I couldn't get that thing to work for me. My life depended on it at first, and you just have to be very patient with pressing the buttons and getting to the right area. That was, and you can also, with this model, you can get an app on your phone and control it. So that's nice. Let's see what else. The pump seems to work fine. It's a little noisy, but we looked outside. Like I told Steve, go outside and see how loud it is, and you really don't hear it outside. Just like the AC, it's not very noisy on the outside, which is nice to know that you're not disturbing your neighbors with the pump going vroom, vroom. Because a lot of places we go to are state parks and national parks. We love to be in those type of areas and do hiking and stuff. We may not look it, but we do.
We do, yeah.
The microwave we've used, I've not used the convection oven part of it. It's a dual device there. So, but the microwave works great, and it did work. Did it work? It worked on Sure Power, and it didn't work, and it did work on Office Sure Power as well, which we were surprised. I thought
we took. When we were at the Harvest Toast, and actually when we wanted to run the microwave or make coffee, we turned the generator on briefly.
Yeah.
Which works great.
Yeah. Couldn't remember.
Yes.
And then the stovetop is good. I've had a couple problems with it lighting, and I think it has something to do with the airflow. And this brings in the smoke detector. I hate the smoke detector. It's the sink. If you look behind us, this sink and the thing is like right here, and the smoke detector's right up there, and it just goes off. So you have to crack your window, turn the air max on low, and it draws that right up to the air max, and it won't affect the smoke detector. But we have covered it with stuff.
Still works.
It does still work, but it's not as bad. So keep that in mind. When first time we went, we put a shower cap on it to try to deter it a little. So that's something I found out about the stovetop is it seems like you need to have that airflow going before it, you turn the clicker on, and it just wouldn't light. So either there was too much air or didn't get the air, or I don't know. So it was, but so far it's worked pretty good. And let me think, what else? I don't know. Is there something you'd like to say now?
Yeah. One of the things that it drove me crazy at first was we'd be going with a few pairs of shoes and had nowhere to put them. So we've installed. Catherine and I found a shoe rack at a store that hangs over on the side behind the passenger area. That's just amazing to keep things organized, so we don't have shoes on the floor all over the place. And to me, that was one of the big deals. I really like the shoe rack. That was a $10 investment, I think.
I think a lot of people that RV probably have figured out different things for their shoes, but this one is just one of those ones you buy that hang on the back of a door, and you put your shoes in like this. So yeah, it's been really nice to have that. Plus, we can keep the dog leashes in there as well.
Yeah.
So, one thing I don't like is the flooring in here. It seems to be a one piece. We're in debate of if it is or not, but it just really is hard to clean. It's easy to sweep, but to clean is, I don't know. I'm going to try a steam cleaner on it sometime. If you have any tips for cleaning these floors, you let me know. I don't know. I do think some of the things is a little cheap. The flooring in the front of the cab for the Ford part is
it's rubber matting.
It's just rubber matting, nothing like a car or a truck that you get. So, but it's rubber. So if you bring in yuck, sand or
Cleans
whatever,
well.
That comes up
Pretty well.
So I don't know if there's anything else that we wanted to.
No, we do occasionally, like she said, we watch television. The TV's a 40-inch television. It's nice. We actually hooked a Roku up to it and used my phone as a hotspot, and we occasionally watch stuff off of the Roku. We watched some Jack Hibbs sermons when we went out on the weekend, so we could still kind of have church in our camper, the ball game, and a few odds and ends. So it's very nice. And we've got some night lights, because when you go to national parks or you go to state parks,
there's no lights.
No lights. It gets pretty dark at night. And
that's for stargazing people and things like that. And just because it's, I guess, don't want animals to be in light all the time.
Right.
It's part of camping.
Yeah. So we have night lights that will run when we're either just on our battery, 12 volt, or we have ones that'll run when we're hooked up to shore power. So
yeah, and they just plug in little cute little cubes and little round things that have sensors on it. So when it gets dark, they turn on. So that's kind of nice.
Yep.
Awning worked great. We haven't used it a whole lot. We have used it some. Because sometimes when we park, we don't park for very long when we're getting to a certain destination. But it seems to work really fine. Yeah. It went through a couple rainstorms.
We did the tilt thing where it was running lower on one side than the other, so the water would run off, and it worked great.
Yeah. We did purchase a bigger rug. We had 2 little rugs that we got from Aldi's. That was really great. They work really well for quick runs. You know, they're just really small little like runners. So you can kind of place them where you want. When you bring the dogs up, you can get your shoes off or get the dogs cleaned up before you come into the motorhome. I don't know. Those are just general things that I guess all RV people kind of, you know, you live in it and you learn. But I would say some of the top things that I really like that we've changed is the window by the door, because I love to look out windows. So that's one. Getting the seat cushions, I'm hoping, is going to be a big changer. And the one for the bed. Those are my
mattress
top.
topper, yeah.
And I know there's a couple things in the storage that you really like that you've gotten.
Yeah, I got a kit that had like 3 different storage, like little round cubbies. One's for the electric, one's for the fresh water, one's for the black water. So I keep all those things separated, and when I need stuff for this particular area, you just pull that one out, and they work really nice. There again, that's not something permanently attached or anything, but it works. They work very well. What else?
You like your little holders for your phones.
Phone holders, yeah, those are very nice. Gets them up a little higher. You don't have to worry about knocking them around and stuff in the dark because they're always in the same spot. So those work really well. They were on it. We bought those off Amazon. They were pretty inexpensive. Anything else?
Yeah, some things I know we're going to change still. So the seat cushions, when we get those, which should be fairly soon. And then probably like try to figure out the storage just a little better. There's tons of storage. It's just getting the storage out and like we bought a holder thing for our clothes for in the, what do you call this thing? Wardrobe.
The wardrobe.
And that has helped, but it isn't really big enough for longer trips. Short trips, it's great. So it's just like a plastic container that has the drawers that you put in there. So that's been helpful, but and it was fairly inexpensive, so it's something we can change out. And like you said, above the sink, we're thinking of adding some more shelves,
shelving.
like an actual shelf inside somehow. We don't want to put too much pressure on the bottom of it. We're not sure how these cabinets are made, so it kind of makes us a little leery about adding shelving. But like, yeah, I don't know. And then this
Maybe
window,
yeah.
Someday, you know, it's something we won't be doing. This I don't think we'll replace unless it looks like it's something really easy. Like that window was fairly easy.
Fairly easy, yeah.
Just a little awkward, I guess, mostly. So so that's a little bit of our ins and outs of what we've experienced with this particular RV. If there's any other questions you have, let us know in the comments. Please like and subscribe. I also have my channel where I do a lot of gardening stuff. And I just like to do it, and it's no big deal if, you know, it continues or not. We just thought it'd be neat to show you this particular thing about our motorhome.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.